Update. Am I the asshole for leaving my baby shower early and causing a scene? Original post. Myself, 32 female, am pregnant with my husband of 7 years, 32 male, child. We have one previous child, Anne, 6 female, fake name, who has epilepsy. She has had one seizure before, relevant later in the story. To be honest, my mother-in-law is horrible. She gives backhanded compliments, insults me about my looks, and always tries to set my husband up with other people. The last time we went to her place, she said she could make my husband a Tinder account or set him up with some girl who is the daughter of mother-in-law's best friend. My husband has told her to stop, but doesn't do anything else. Newsflash, she doesn't stop. When sending invites to my baby shower, I told my husband I didn't want my mother-in-law there. He told me, "Since you're not letting my own mother be in the room with you when you're giving birth, you have to invite her to this. You should be grateful that you get a baby shower at all." Also, he wouldn't be at the baby shower as he has something at work. At the baby shower, I was telling everyone how our baby was once again a girl. My mother-in-law then decided to say, "Wow, another girl. Let's hope she's not like her sister." I asked what she meant by that and she said, "We don't need any other diseases in the family. Imagine a newborn baby drop to the floor and shake everywhere. It's embarrassing." At first, I was honestly confused as she clearly had zero idea what she was talking about. But then the pregnancy hormones really kicked in and I started crying hysterically. I left my friend's house and my mother drove me home. Once I got home, I saw my husband there. I didn't know why he was home and not at work, but I just didn't stop crying. He said, "Where are the gifts? You do realize how expensive some baby things can be." I honestly couldn't believe he said that of all things, so I decided to lock myself in our bedroom. About 10 minutes later, he tells me he got a text from his mother explaining what happened. He told me that I caused a scene and should be happy I got to meet up with some friends today. I tried explaining how wrong what she said was and how she insulted our daughter and unborn baby. And he said, "Well, Anna's epilepsy medication isn't cheap. So I see why she said what she said. You just interpreted it wrong. Apologize to my mother." I packed a bag and called my mother to pick me up. I'm currently at her place and she's picking Anne up from school. My husband and his family keep blowing up my phone and calling me a drama queen, along with other hateful names, so I need to ask, am I the asshole? My opinion for OP. Pregnancy is challenging enough without having to deal with horrible comments from your mother-in-law. I really feel for you, OP, and for sure, no one should blame you for leaving the baby shower early. I'm shocked at her comments and your husband's lack of understanding. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh? I'm wondering what's next in your story. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Comment 1. Not the asshole. OP, I see all the other commenters tell you you're in an abusive relationship, and you are. But OP, I'm going to be a bit cruel. You are putting your daughter on the firing line to also be abused. You are sacrificing her, and for what? A man who is cruel to you, cruel to his kids, and has his balls in his mum's purse. You heard what your mother-in-law thinks of your little girl. You heard her. You know what she thinks. And if she is brave enough to say that in public, what is she willing to do in private? She is a danger to your kids. Your husband sees your child has a drain on his money. He agrees with his mum. He sees his child as defective. He is a danger to his kids. With all this being said, why, for all that is holy, are you placing your children in harm's way? If you won't leave and can't get help for yourself, please do it for your kids. Comment 2. Not the asshole, but your mother-in-law and hubby are major ones. Worked as a pediatric nurse for years, and what your mother-in-law stated is way out of line, as well as your crappy husband wanting you to apologize to her. He's just as bad as her for telling you to be grateful and calling you a drama queen. The apple didn't fall far from the tree when it comes to your toxic mother and husband. He's also pretty greedy on caring more about the expensive gifts than you. They are both emotional abusers, and you, as well as your daughters, deserve better. Comment 3. Not the asshole. Bless your heart and your children. I'd have been horrified too and probably would have committed several acts of violence that would make Jerry Springer proud. That's a horrible thing to say about anyone, but about her own grandchildren is just despicable. Your husband doesn't sound like he's exactly a knight in shining armor either. I'm so sorry. Stay with your mum and cut contact with him. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I woke up to 700 new notifications, so thank you all for your feedback. Just wanted to let you all know that I am meeting up with my husband later today and we will discuss things. I will be showing him these posts and your comments. Also, thank you for all the kind messages and the awards too. However, I don't know what they do. Laugh out loud. Can someone please explain them to me? Thanks. See you soon. Now for the updates. Update 1. Okay, so I'd like to start by explaining my username. My friend, who hosted the baby shower, suggested the name as a joke. When I showed her the kind things you all said, I also asked, why do people think I'm suicidal? So I'd just like to say I'm not, and my friend apologized if we worried any of you. Okay, now to what happened. All of you were talking about how abusive my husband is. I guess I never realized it was abuse, just because it wasn't physical. I don't know why I had that mindset, but I did. I sat him down and started reading. Your mother-in-law is horrible, divorce this man, and doesn't deserve this, etc. I explained to him that I wanted a divorce. We were in a public cafe, so I knew there was no way he'd physically hurt me. This was how the conversation went after I said I wanted a divorce. Husband, so just because a few strangers on the internet told you to do something, you're going to do it? Me, it's not a few, it's thousands. Husband, it doesn't matter who it is, you don't even know them. Me, well, you don't know the chefs in restaurants, yet you trust them to cook your food. Husband, shut the F up. Me, it's not my fault, all you do is run to your mummy and choose her over your daughter. Husband, I don't give a F about you or your opinion, you effing bitch. Me, ha, okay. After that, he stormed out of the cafe. I think you all would be glad to know that I emptied our joint bank accounts and took any valuables. You all might think, oh, that's a happy ending to the story, but there's way more. So, my father-in-law contacted me, which is weird. We only talk at family gatherings and whatnot, and told me he apologizes on behalf of his wife's actions. He told me that she never liked me because I stole him away from someone called Melissa. Apparently, my husband and her were together during college and she cheated on him. Mother-in-law, however, still loved her like a daughter. Turns out, all these years we've been together, he's been cheating on me with Melissa. Mother-in-law knew, father-in-law knew, everyone knew. It explains a lot, like why he wasn't at work that day. What actually happened was, Melissa came over to our house and they had sex in my own bed. I was disgusted hearing it. I'm not sure, but she must have left before I came home. So basically, Melissa told mother-in-law and mother-in-law told father-in-law. Father-in-law said he regretted not telling me sooner and kept apologizing over and over again. I was shocked and started crying. I thanked him for telling me and said I just needed some space. However, he also told me that mother-in-law was telling a different story to what happened on that day. None of my soon-to-be ex-husband's family were there, so they didn't know what happened. And that's why everyone was telling me to apologize to mother-in-law. Mother-in-law told them that I started yelling at her for wearing a better dress than me on my special day, and I threw drinks and food on her. She made a mess of her dress previously, so I'm guessing that's what she used as evidence. Lol. Father-in-law said the woman really loves herself. In a couple of days, I can guarantee you we'll have another picture of herself hanging in our living room. I laughed and said, goodbye. I've also gotten a lawyer to sort out some divorce stuff. I'll give you all another update soon. Update 2. So, I already did one update, and now I'm doing the second one here, which I think is what you're supposed to do. So, a lot has happened. Apparently, after my ex left the cafe, he went to a bar and got really drunk. He ended up assaulting the bartender, and then resisting arrest and hitting an officer once the police came. So he had the audacity to try and get me to bail him out. And I just laughed and hung up. So he obviously called mummy and she came to the rescue. Hopefully I can use that against him because I will be fighting for full custody. My friend works in the legal sector, so she's helping me out with that and explaining it all to me. Thank you again to everyone who interacted with my post whatsoever. Positive or negative feedback, I am grateful for it. I also got a lot of good advice. Anne has been asking a lot of questions still, so I'm going to be explaining everything to her tonight. She's pretty mature for her age, but I'm just worried that this might really affect her, especially since she's so young. Story 2. I, 38 male, told a friend, 39 female, I had feelings for her twice and got rejected in my 20s. Found out a decade later, she had feelings for me. What the F? I, 38 male, had a girl who I was best friends with from the age of 19 to 23. Let's call her Mary, around 21. Around 21, I discovered I had serious feelings for her, as serious as they can be in your early 20s with no dating experience. I worked up some nerve and told her how I felt. She was very kind, but told me that she did not feel anything beyond friendship. It sucked, but that's the way life goes, and we continued as friends. A few years later, feelings got intense again, and I said the same thing, and Mary had the same response. I eventually realized two things. My feelings weren't going to change, and neither were hers. She started seeing a guy around that time, and I did not feel right continuing such a close friendship with someone who had a boyfriend, so I backed off and we lost contact over that year. A few years later, I was at a fast food restaurant late at night and was going through the drive-thru. Guess who was in the car behind me? I pulled into a parking spot and got out to throw some garbage away in a trash can. I did it intentionally to see if she would notice who was in front of her, and if she would do anything about it. She ends up pulling in the stool next to mine and saying hi. We play the "good to see you, how have you been?" conversation out. She mentions that she is no longer seeing anyone. We chat a bit more. I give her a quick hug and we part ways. I get a text from her about a week later saying hi and wondering if I wanted to hang out. Stupidly, I said yes, knowing that I still had feelings for her. We get back into the usual habit of going for drives, having coffee, etc. It's fun and familiar. I have this nagging feeling in the back of my mind that this is dumb. Fast forward about a month and a half and I get a text from her in the evening asking to hang out. Something in my mind just flipped and I heard this voice inside my head saying, if you go out, this will not end well. You want Mary, but she doesn't want you. I put the phone down without responding to the text. I ended up receiving a call from her about 45 minutes later and I just didn't pick up. It was a punk move on my part to not respond, but I didn't think I had the courage to say, I don't think we should be friends anymore. I deleted and blocked her number. 5 months later, I end up in a relationship with the woman who would eventually be my wife, the woman of my dreams and just an all-round better fit than Mary ever could have been. Over the course of the first year dating, we talk about our past relationships, and I tell her about my one-way feelings regarding Mary. My wife was super sympathetic and also very thankful because, according to her, Mary must be blind to let someone like me go. I recognize now that I had some extremely rose-colored glasses when it came to Mary, but being young and infatuated made me overlook a few significant red flags. Fast forward a decade and my wife comes to me with a weird look on her face. She had been hanging out with a good friend of ours. Jess had brought up Mary in conversation. The friend asked my wife if I had any contact with Mary in the last decade or so, which I haven't. My wife says no, and gives the friend the short version of what I wrote above. Quite a few of my friends knew that I had feelings for Mary, but they didn't go anywhere near because Mary only viewed me as a friend. Jess mentioned to my wife that she had run into Mary a few years ago. My name had come up in the conversation, and Jess had asked Mary why we never got together. Mary says she regretted to this day and that she did have feelings for me. I know that ending up with Mary would not have worked out, but there is this part of my brain that wonders why she couldn't admit it to me when I told her twice how I felt. Is it weird to be wondering this? Now for the top comments. Comment 1. Perhaps she is looking at the past with rose-colored glasses as well, projecting feelings onto her past self as part of wishing she made other choices. What 39-year-old Mary wants in a man will be different to what 21-year-old Mary wanted. You turning her down at the drive-thru may also have made you more appealing than you were earlier, when you were a guy she could have had at any time. Either way, everything worked out for the best. Comment 2. Don't waste a single second trying to figure this crap out. Not worth your time or energy or messing with your marriage. Mary liked having you around. She liked the friendship and attention. I doubt that she seriously liked you. I think as time went on, her taste changed. Life experience changed her, and you eventually became her type. By that point, you would also have been changed by life and were ready to move on. Simple as that. Don't assign any great meaning to it. Real life isn't like the movies. You have found a better match for yourself. Comment 2. I had a girlfriend that I dated for about 2 years, but was friends with her for half a decade before we dated. I eventually broke up with her because I thought she was taking me for granted. About 6 months later, we were hanging out and I was feeling lonely, so I asked if we should try it again. She declined and said she wanted to stay friends. I thought that was that. I never brought it up again. Years later, I hear from multiple mutual friends, and even one of her ex-boyfriends that she dated after me, that she mentioned that she thought we'd eventually get back together and get married. It was confusing. Comment 4. It's not weird to wonder about it in passing. If you can't stop thinking about it, find a good mental health professional to help you. You have a good life now. Mary had her reasons to not reciprocate. Many women that young go for the bad boys, even when they have a wonderful stable guy who wants to be with them. It takes time to grow out of that thought process, which it sounds like she did by the time you saw her at the fast food place. In the previous years, Mary could have looked you up at any time to ask you out. She didn't. It's her loss. Your wife is the smart one. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.